Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPAutos.com, your libertarian car guy. I was headed down in defiance of the Coon Man's Führerbefehl, and we've come upon something kind of interesting here. There's a whole bunch of armed government workers at one of the major intersections. I see at least 3, maybe 4 state cops wondering what they are up to. We're going to see. The intersection, the signals seem to be out, so maybe it's something relatively minor, but it could be our very first Huthut checkpoint in Corona country, where we have been ordered, that is, us non-essential people have been ordered to self-arrest in our homes and not go out and live our lives because Corona. Well, anyway, so far so good. It looks like it's just them doing the lights, but it is odd that there are this many cops out. And I see another one over there. You can see him on the right. Let's see what happens here as we go by. Have a look and try and film these AGWs in action. Hoping I get through without being the one that they stop. Well, they're looking at us. They're looking at us. Armed government workers. I don't know. Very ominous to see that many AGWs dealing with traffic at one signaled intersection. I don't know. I wonder if they're adjusting these intersections to get ready for the next step in our slow motion Huthut-ing. So far, this is about a week into now the Coon Man's decree that only essential people are permitted to leave their homes unless for essential reasons. And you can see there's a lot of people out. People are just ignoring this over-the-top tyrannical decree based on the possibility that somebody might get sick. And look, there's a beautiful Cutlass. When this truck gets out of the way, you'll get to see it. Looks like about a 70 Cutlass. And I'm glad he's out and doing his thing. And by the way, yesterday when I was headed over to my girlfriend's house, I saw a whole conga line of classic cars headed the other direction. So yay, people are ignoring the Coon Man and these outrageous decrees. Now, I only wish some of these businesses that are committing voluntary seppuku, you know what that is. That's the thing where the Japanese soldier or samurai shoves his katana blade into his own guts, killing himself. Except, of course, the Japanese did it for reasons of honor, whereas these businesses are doing it for reasons of fear, virtue signaling, and social pressure. And that's the new thing, that if you're not over the top in terms of your not only adherence to these Corona decrees, but your insistence that everybody obey them, you're somehow a bad person. They're essentially pathologizing disagreement with the narrative, which is hugely ominous to me, and should be to anybody who's at all familiar with history. They did that sort of thing in other totalitarian regimes, such as Stalin's Russia, for example, where if a person criticized government, that was evidence of mental illness. So you see this happening now in this country, and I foresee that it's very possible that when they start requiring people to get vaccinated, for example, if you show some recalcitrance, if you're not interested in getting vaccinated, because God knows what's in that vaccine, God knows what that vaccine does, maybe you have rational reasons for feeling you don't need the stupid vaccine. For example, I've never had a flu shot, and I've been fine. I've had flu. It's no big deal. I mean, it's not pleasant, but it's not a life ender, and I just don't want the stupid vaccine because I think that the potential downsides of it outweigh any of the advertised upsides of it. But at any rate, I foresee that they're going to characterize anybody who resists vaccination as sick in the head. And then that will be an excuse for a psychological hutting. They'll put you in the clink. They'll put you in a hospital. They did that in the Soviet Union. Anytime that you disagree with what a professional doctor says, if he prescribes a drug or a treatment, and you disagree with his opinion and you'd prefer not to do it, that will potentially be taken as prima facie evidence that you're sick in the head, that you're clearly ill, you're not listening to the sound advice of the experts. That's where we're headed. It's no joke. It would be funny if this were 20 years ago when Idiocracy came out and you could laugh about it because America wasn't like that. But today, America is like this. This is what's happened to the country. And it's terrifying. It should be terrifying. It should be a lot more terrifying to people than the prospect of getting this stupid virus, which for the most part, again, based on everything that I've seen, is only a mortal threat, or predominantly a mortal threat, to people who are basically facing a mortal threat from pretty much anything, because they're old, because they have underlying conditions, because they've got tuberculosis, because they have pulmonary issues, because they've got diabetes, or they've got serious heart disease. Ordinary healthy, vigorous people who haven't got any such problems, possible they might get sick. They're probably not going to die. And it just seems like an insane overreaction to shut down the economy, shut down the country, worse than that, shut down our civil liberties, eliminate our civil liberties, subject us to complete dictatorial control because of something that's been part of life since time immemorial, which is that sometimes people get sick and some people die, but it's not a mass health crisis. In fact, I'm going to do another drive-by of our local trauma center, which covers not just this area of Southwest Virginia, but also surrounding areas in North Carolina, to see whether there's any evidence of the hospital being overwhelmed with cases. Have seen no such evidence of that so far. Certainly not seen any bodies stacking up. And by the way, speaking of overwhelmed, they have pitched up the fear in this country to such a degree that probably millions of people now are so terrified of any sign of any kind of sickness. If they get a sniffle, their eyes are a little red, they don't feel quite right, it's got to be corona, I'm going to die. And so they go to the hospital. And of course, that will overwhelm the system if everybody starts going to the hospital at the first sign of anything. So it's a manufactured problem in that case. And that's a tragedy. That's another example of the way fear is more of a threat, literally a threat to our lives and to many other things as well, than anything that this virus might do. So thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. We'll have more up at epautos.com shortly, and we'll catch up with you then.